So we initially contacted Martin Gerard. We had a property that we've held for a long time with a very nice tenant in it, and for various reasons we needed to sell it and also handle the situation with our tenant sensitively. And that's why we'd heard about them, and they've got a good name locally, and thought that they'd be helpful with this transaction. One thing with Martin Gerard that really worked was that we worked as a team, and that meant that we were talking the whole time. And I must say that initially Craig and then Fatmir were fantastic with that. I knew that if I had questions at any time about how things were going, whether it was with the lawyer, with the tenant, with the survey, they'd get back to me really quickly. And I was really impressed, I think, with the charm with which they did it. They did it in a very nice way. And with all these things, it's got to be good for everybody. It's got to be good for the buyer, if there's somebody in there, the tenant, and also for the seller. And I think they handled it really well. So I think good interpersonal skills and communication were a key part of the transaction, actually. Yeah, I mean, frankly, we looked at Zoopla to see the current market prices of property. But then speaking to Martin Gerard, they knew what was selling, what wasn't selling in the area, what the market forces were, what we read in the papers, whether that was true or not. And they advised us about a realistic price point that would interest buyers and make things move quickly. They also advised us about the cycle of advertising. You know, when you put something on the market, which months are the important ones to strike, and if it can go stale if it's on the market for too long, because it's very visible to buyers and people suspect there's something wrong with it. So their knowledge of the local market and the local market dynamics were critical, really, to the successful transaction. Yeah, I mean, if you look at national surveys, estate agents don't come high in the list of people who are trusted. Maybe politicians are lower than them, but that's about as low as it gets. So in truth, our experience with Martin Gerard was the opposite. I just felt because of the communication and their local knowledge, we were working as a team. They knew the solicitors we were using, and I got the feeling they'd all worked together before on many successful things. So day by day, hour by hour, really, each question, whether it was about heating or garden sheds or whatever, they overcame that very well and really built up credibility. I'd never dealt with Fatmir before, I dealt with Craig before, but they built up trust, and I felt it was people really were all on the same side. As I say, the win-win bit was really important, probably win-win-win, you know, for the tenant, for the buyers, the sellers, and for everyone else involved in the chain. So I was impressed with that. Fatmir was really easy to deal with, very available, even on days when he had days off. They seemed to work round the clock at Martin Gerard, which I really appreciated, whether it was the weekdays or weekends, there were people there who came back to us quickly. And I think the communication and also a kind of calm style, because obviously there are ups and downs in a cycle of selling a property, and sometimes it can be quite frustrating when people raise objections that you haven't thought of or that you don't think are reasonable. And he kept everybody calm and managed some things which were a bit tricky during the cycle, and he managed them really in a nice way that everybody felt they were respected and their needs were being listened to. I think that was the key thing, understanding the needs of everybody in the transaction and making sure that they're attended to. People raise the question of value for money, and obviously with Zoopla and all sorts of other online facilities, it's possible to do things remotely and online, but in truth, human contact and that local knowledge and having people just around the corner you can meet up with or who go into the property immediately made all the difference. And we had situations with keys and surveyors and access and popping into people just to make sure they were okay, that it was invaluable to have real people and not to be doing it remotely with a website somewhere in the world that you couldn't get hold of and didn't know N12 from N20 from N2 from N3 or whatever else. So that was a critical success factor, really. So in terms of the people, we found them all easy to deal with, whether it was Craig or Fatmir or other people in the office who stepped in. Firstly, if one of them was off, the others stepped in, and they were all very nice and easy to deal with, very pleasant, and made it easy, really. Made it something that could have been quite stressful, and there were stressful points in it. Made it straightforward. In terms of the general environment, I mentioned that we had a tenant in, and renters' rights have changed during that period that we were talking about, but they handled that really well, made sure that everybody's rights, both the vendors, the purchasers, and the tenants were all respected, and they worked with those parameters in a nice way so that everybody felt respected and understood. I felt that there were reasonable things they could have done, but they went way beyond that. They were always available and went to lengths to make things happen that I wouldn't really expect to have been in their brief. So I thought they were exceptional in terms of their commitment to making things happen. So I really appreciated it. We needed this transaction to happen for various reasons, and I don't think without them it would have happened, actually. And I'm not a person who loses his temper very easily, and I didn't, but they really kept me calm and reassured me that things were going to be okay. So I thought that was fantastic, actually. Well, the reason I'm giving this video for Martin Gerard is, one, I genuinely think they provide a great service and other people will find them useful. And honestly, we wanted to say thank you to Fatmir for the fantastic work he did and take him out for tea or something. And he said the best thing you can do is just leave a few words on a video about the experience. So I'm delighted to do that. And that's why I'm doing this. If and when I have another transaction or friends and family have a property that they want to buy or sell, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend Fatmir and the team at Martin Gerard for another transaction. They're really good, come up with the goods, they get the price that's fair, and they do it in a way that sort of is the least hassle for everybody involved in what can be a stressful situation. So thoroughly recommended. I'd say probably a 5 stars, a thumbs up for them.